Rev up your engines for the Mid-Michigan Biker Podcast with Big E. Proudly sponsored by Christensen Law, where bikers helping engine bikers is more than just a motto. It's our commitment to the biker community. Be sure to tune in and listen to the latest news and biker buzz. And for all your personal injury needs, be sure to contact the Christensen Law team at 248-900-9000. Welcome to the Mid-Michigan Biker Podcast, where the rubber meets the road and the tales of the ride unfold. I'm Big E, your guide on this two-wheeled adventure. Life is short, bikers, so let's get after it. Hey, everybody, welcome to the podcast. In studio, I have a very special guest today. I know I always say that, but they're always special guests. I have Scott Shoup with me. And those of you who don't know Scott, that's a shame because he's a really swell guy. So we have a mutual friend or two, and that's kind of how we met. And then way back in the day when I got my little blue card at West Shore Community College for my cycle endorsement, Scott happened to be one of the instructors out there. But Scott has got tons and tons and tons of motorcycle experience and knowledge, and I thought it'd be cool to get him in here and just kind of BS. So that's what we're going to do today.
Cool.
Scott is recently been converted to a Harley guy.
Recently, but I'm sold.
Yeah. We had another, the guy who owns the green streak light out there.
Okay.
He started out with a Victory, and you guys are just, I'll never own a Harley.
Yeah.
That's his second one in like 3 years, 2 years, something like that. So
I'll have another for sure.
Yeah, they're awesome in my opinion. That, of course, I don't know that Buell. Have you seen those?
Which one?
The Buell, the new one,
No.
the cruiser that they got. Oh.
Pretty sharp?
Yeah, it's pretty tough. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's designed for doing what the Ultras are designed to do, but it's a nice looking machine for sure.
For the intended purpose of the Ultra, they're just amazing.
They do their job well.
For sure.
So, what else you got in the stable? I know you got more than one bike.
Well, there's this one, and then I've got the track bike.
The track bike.
Which is not street legal. It's just for the track. I sold my Yamaha to get the Ultra. And that's really all I can store right now. I've run out of room.
Wow.
I've got too many other things in the garage that 2 bikes is the max.
Yeah, you see what happens in my garage.
I know, yeah. they just accumulate. They
bikes.
grow.
No room for cars.
Uh-huh.
Now we got bikes and a pool table.
Yeah.
So what was the race bike? What did that start out as?
It was
what did it start its life as?
It was a GSXR 600. It's a 97, and it was, I believe it was always a track bike. It was raced in the Weira circle, and it was after that guy wore that out and moved up, and it was sold to actually Dan Pedersen.
Okay.
And he had it for a few years, and then he hadn't ridden in a track for a while, and he said, I'd like to sell it. And so I scooped it up, and I've had it for quite a few years. And it's just been a great little track bike, and it's very narrow use, but it is, because it's all set up with the suspension and all the other little knickknacks for the track. It really is, it does a fantastic job.
Yeah. And it's fast, I'm assuming.
It's, It does really well.
It does really well.
Yep. 147 is top speed at the end of the straight at Granton. There's it's so old. It's a 97.
Right.
So it certainly doesn't compete with like the newer ones as far as top gear, but My thing is the corners.
Right.
And there's nothing more humbling to a ZX10 guy than getting passed by a 97 GSXR 600 going around the corner.
So, Chris Roberts?
Uh-uh.
No? So he's a biker in Ludington, and I'm sure he listens to my podcast because, we're buddies. So he'd like to hear that, I'm sure.
It's a gas, and I haven't been to the track in quite a few years. I raced one race, and I think it was 2016, and that was just an accumulation of going to the track to do track days so much, and then you get comfortable and you start wondering how fast you really are. So I got my certificate to race and did one race, and I got a third place, and I got a podium, so I'm good.
I'm
that
good.
was it.
Been there.
Yep,
That's
that was
good.
it. So that was actually the last time I was at the track, and then this year I finally got back out there, and it's just a great thing.
So where do you go to
There's
let off steam, so to speak?
There's two tracks in Michigan. There's Grant, which is northeast of Grand Rapids a little bit, and then there's Gingerman, which is down by South Haven.
Okay.
And Grant is probably my favorite just because it's very technical. It's got a lot of different kinds of corners. So there's reducing radius, there's off camber, there's a bowl, there's I think I'm not sure the exact number, but I think 11 out of the 14 corners are blind corners, so you can't really see them until you're already in the corner. So knowing the track
helps, definitely.
Really important. So it's a really fun track to go to. It's only about an hour from home, so you can go spend a day and play around. And
Awesome. Yeah, I would probably like to go witness that sometime. I think it'd be cool to watch one of them races.
It's just watching the people blow by and hear the noise, and the smells, the race fuel, and it's pretty cool.
And you sent me a couple of videos of some crazy stuff. The dogs are going to go nuts right now. I'm just warning you. The wife's home.
Mom's home.
Not these, the big ones. I'm surprised they're not howling. Really? Wow. That is bizarre right there. You get into watching King of the Baggers at all?
I have watched a little bit of that, yes.
That is pretty crazy.
The opportunity that I had with Yamaha, I just went to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin for Moto America a month or so ago. And so I got to see them up close and go through the pits and see their trailers and their toolboxes. It's amazing the amount of stuff that they have in those things. There was probably 2 or 3 guys just on computers, and then there's 3 or 4 guys working on bikes in different stages of being torn apart. And they've got copies of, or they've got their pistons out there and their rods. I mean, it's just amazing to see how they build those things to keep them together.
Yeah.
And all the other things they do to them, billet swing arms and all the other things. And it's amazing what they can do on this.
Amazing machines. Amazing. Have you, so now so you aren't instructing anymore. I asked you about that off air because you did that for quite some time.
About 15 years.
Yeah.
Which is, I think the typical number of years with an instructor is 3 to 5 or 7 or something like that. But it was definitely something I really enjoyed doing.
Right.
And it also, for me, was a great opportunity to learn the basics every weekend. So it was, you're going over the same stuff all the time, so it's always right there. But it was after 15 years, I was ready to be done, and then I got that opportunity with Yamaha, and I couldn't pass that up.
So tell us about what every person probably listening who rides a motorcycle, it would be like their dream job. Because, I thought working at Harley would be kind of a cool job, and, Johnny down there, probably not. I don't know if he was still at Johnny Branston. So he's one of the sales guys there. He likes me.
Oh, yeah, Johnny. Yes, Johnny.
All right. I talk to him all the time, and he's like, dude, it's not as cool as you think. Because, when there's stuff going on the weekends, you're working.
Oh, yeah.
You're not riding.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, that would suck.
Yep.
But you have the ultimate job as far as being able to ride.
Yep, it was, and it was, I like to say it was serendipity that got me there, because I mean, it is something that anybody that rides a motorcycle would die for.
Oh yeah.
And how it came about was I was still teaching at the time, but somebody asked me to ride their motorcycle back from Maine. They said, "Well, we're riding out here, but we don't have enough time to ride there and then ride back. So if we'll fly you out to Maine, you ride the bike back, and that'd be great." So okay,
Yeah.
I'll jump on board with that. And about halfway through, just before I got into the Poconos, I did my T-clocks on the bike, and I thought, that back tire is a little sketchy for me to be going through the mountains in. And it was a Monday, and I'm on a BMW, and I'm trying to find some place to get a tire. And there is nothing anywhere, and I'm stopping at tire stores, and
Right.
of course, dealerships, a lot of them are closed on
Closed on
Monday.
Mondays, right?
And so I'm asking, and a couple of people said, "Well, there's this little garage that's, you turn left at this house and you turn right at the tree." And I came across, it looked like an old garage, and it kind of looked like, if anybody remembers Dale Peters' shop
Okay.
on Dowling.
Yeah.
Just kind of a old shop that nothing's been done to it for a long time.
Faded old paint. And,
Yep. And the service manager in there was a gal by the name of Claire McGuire. Just a super, super nice gal. And talk about somebody that's on the ball. She said, "Well, we just sent all our tires back to Tuckeraki, and I don't think we got anything in stock. Well, let me see what I can do." And she went right to work, and within 2 hours, I had a tire, and I was out of there.
Wow.
And we became friends. And one day, she sent me a message on Facebook. She said, "Hey, there's an opening at Yamaha for being one of the lead chase riders. Is that anything you'd be interested in?" Say no more. I'm in. I don't know what it is, but yes, I'm in.
I don't even care if it pays. If I just get to ride motorcycles all
I would
day.
have assumed if it was a volunteer position, still would have done it. But it was a little while later. I got a call from the hiring manager, and we had a little chit chat. And I ended up. They flew me down to Daytona for Bike Week, just as a tester.
Right.
They have a really tight, close knit team.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's about 14 of us that do the riding, and then there's a few other support people. But everybody meshes so well. It's just the nicest group of people. And so luckily I fit in, and they said, "When do you want to go to work?" And I was like, "Anytime."
This is work.
Yeah. It is. One of the interesting things that I found was when I was teaching,
Right.
you expect people to be cautious and not really know how to ride, and so you're anticipating that.
Right.
But the first time I did the Yamaha gig, I was like, "Oh wow, there's a lot of people that aren't really all that good on the bike, that maybe they think they are, but maybe they're not."
Right.
So that was a surprising part, but it's been a great thing. I've gotten to go a lot of places that I would not have otherwise gone, and ride motorcycles. So
Yeah. What could be better than that? I mean, shoo. Yeah, I would think of the instructor thing. I know in my class, there's, you could pretty much, as an instructor, you could probably pick out who has been on a bike before and who hasn't. And then it seems like you always got one guy that, I've been riding for 50 years and I got a big old Harley, and he gets on the bike and it's like, "Sure, buddy."
Almost
sure.
in every class.
Yeah. I know my wife, when she took the class, she said the same thing. There's this guy there. He's been riding for 30 years. I think he failed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's funny. There was somebody like that in my class too.
Yeah, almost every class, and it was always enjoyable for me when you show up for class on a Friday night, and there would be a husband and wife, and the husband's sitting in the back of the class, and he's got his arms crossed, and he's like, "Well, I wanted to get my old lady off the bike, back of the bike, and get her own, and the only way she would take the class is if I took it, and I've been riding for 30 years."
Yeah.
You've heard that before. And then I should say it was funny, but there were several times that the wife would pass.
Oh, that's funny.
And the husband wouldn't.
Right.
But usually after the first day, Saturday, which is a long day,
Yeah.
a lot of times they would come up and say, "Hey, I came in expecting one thing, But to be honest with you, I've learned a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't know that I was supposed to do it this way, or I didn't know that that worked like that. And so it was pretty rewarding. I really enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, I learned a lot. And I mean, I'd been riding for a while, but I lacked the endorsement. So I was like, well, that's probably the easiest way to get the endorsement, take the class. And I'm thankful I took the class because I did. I learned a lot.
I took it when I was 17. I had to in order to get my endorsement. And at that time, I had been riding for a very long time. I think I got my first bike when I was 7 or something like that. And I was 17, so I knew everything there was to know about everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, geez, I got to do this. And so I probably had the same attitude as the other guy.
Right.
And when I left the class, I was like, holy cow, okay, maybe I don't know everything there is to know about riding a motorcycle.
Right. What I'd like to do is one of those advanced slow ride. That fascinates me.
Yes.
The police drills, I just blown away by that stuff.
Ride like a cop.
Yeah.
I would absolutely do one of those in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. And there was a guy that I know that went out to, I want to say Washington, and took like a week-long class. And I thought he was going to start his own business doing that. It was like one of them franchises.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't remember the name of it, but and I contacted him. I'm like, what does it cost? And it wasn't bad.
Really?
It was like the 4-hour class was like $120 or something like that.
Kidding.
And the 8-hour class was like $220 or something like that.
Very reasonable.
Yeah, very reasonable. And I'm like, well, shit, sign me up.
Yeah.
But nothing ever came with it. So
Yeah.
he was over at Midland, and yeah,
I'd go to Midland for that.
I would too.
And
I figured that maybe if I had enough guys, he'd even come over here because really all he needs is a parking lot.
But any of those classes that they're for riding are just a great idea, and I don't think enough people think about it or take the opportunity because
once they get their endorsement, they're good.
Yep, and they just ride. And one of the things that I mean, I've done a lot of research and been a part of a lot of different safety groups and this, that, and the other thing, and it is a lot of people overestimate their ability. And for the most part, I mean, when you're out riding, what I used to say in the class is, as long as there's not a problem, there's not a problem.
Right.
But when something goes bad, it goes bad in a hurry.
Yeah.
And if you're not on your ball, then that's where you get hurt.
Right.
And
right.
Sadly, they don't focus enough on the safety once you get your endorsement.
Well, and like now last week, we went for a ride and we had this individual. I'd never ridden with him before. Going down the road, he's got his feet on his handlebars.
Oh.
I'm like, no.
That's not what those are for.
Your feet belong down.
Yeah.
Because if something goes wrong in a hurry,
It's over.
You're a pretzel on the side of the road.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
And anybody you're next to, who the heck knows what's going to happen to them.
You.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had a little chat when we stopped. So,
yeah, it's, there's a handful of people that I will ride with.
Right.
But you got to know who you're riding with, what their ability is, and one of the things that I have a challenge with is if I ride with somebody that I'm comfortable with, then I can enjoy the ride. But if there's somebody that's a little bit questionable, then I'm really focused on them,
right,
and making sure that they're safe or that I'm not in danger of what they're doing.
Do you do many of the charity rides, or because of that?
No. In fact, we've never done a charity ride. We would. But I went to the Blessing with the group at one time, and it was okay because all the people that I rode with I was familiar with. Right. But at some point I just split off just because it got a little more hairy than what I was comfortable with. Yeah, you just, you're out there to enjoy yourself, not to worry about what's going to happen.
Right. Yeah, that's, now we started our own little riding club, and we had a charity ride here a few weeks ago, and of course I'm the tail gunner, so I ride in the back.
Nice.
So I'm not too worried about riding around people. I'm just more worried about somebody wiping out further up, and
right.
But, like my wife, she rides up in there. So you're always kind of nervous about that. I have been in the middle of the pack and had people around me that have made me nervous.
Sure.
And it does. It takes away from the enjoyment of the ride. But hopefully most people are at least halfway safe and ready to deal with the unexpected.
Right.
Should it happen with their feet on their floorboards or their pegs, not on their handlebars. So, yeah. Little sketchy that was.
Yeah.
Always a challenge when you're riding with people you don't know.
Yep. And I've witnessed when I did teach for the Harley program, what they would have rides leaving out of there with hundreds of bikes.
Right.
And you could visually see, from the parking lot, how quickly something could go bad because, the first person goes out, gets on the gas, and then the second person, and then
you get the old accordion effect.
Down, so then you get, the accordion, and it's like, holy cow, somebody's not paying attention. They're looking at the people on the sidewalk. It doesn't take long before you get wadded up.
And how long did you were an instructor at Harley too? Mm-hmm. How long did you do that?
Just shy of 15 years. I think I did that in.
So you're doing both.
Yep. I think I was teaching for 2 or 3 years, and then I got on the Harley program. And that's a good program. I mean, it's the same curriculum.
Yeah.
The Harley just adds a little bit more fluff and a little bit more time, which was kind of nice.
Yeah.
There are times in the state program that you're just limited on your time. And here's the time that you have to do that exercise. And if you're on exercise 4 and somebody is, not catching on, they're either dismissed or they decide to leave, and then they're done. And then you have to try to get back into another class, which the classes are always full.
Yeah.
Where the Harley program was a lot more flexible. And if somebody was struggling, you could take the other group and take a break and work with that person individually and not worry about,
So how many instructors did they have for that class at one time?
Same.
Two?
12 max students and 2 instructors. So the 6 and 6 or 6 per was the limit. So if you only had 5 or 6 people, you could actually run the thing with 1 instructor.
Right.
But it was a great class, really. I mean, it was. I enjoyed having the extra time. Of course, the bikes were newer.
Yeah.
And it was just a little bit more personable.
Cool. Yeah. When I took my class, I thought it was pretty awesome because like Saturday, the long day, it was nice out, and Sunday it rained.
Got a little bit of everything.
So we got to experience, and of course, one of the more inexperienced riders in front of me dumped her bike, and I sat there. I knew it was going to happen. I could just tell I'm like, she's dropping that bike. Sure enough.
Yeah, you can usually spot them a mile away.
Yeah.
It is. It's actually great. I mean, the classes that we've had that do get rain. Obviously, if you're going to ride,
right,
you're going to get caught in rain at some point, and to have the ability beforehand to understand that you do lose a significant amount of traction in an environment that's a parking lot, not the road.
Right.
I found that the people that did that were a little bit smoother that way.
It was definitely awesome to learn on both surfaces, wet and dry. We actually last year we actually purposely rode in the rain down to the Gilmore Car Museum because we were testing rain gear.
Oh, cool.
So rode down there and back, and it rained. But one thing I noticed about riding in the rain, like a day like that, because that's a pretty long day down there and back. When I got home, I was exhausted because you're just more on point. You're not really able to relax.
Exactly. I did. We rode back from Milwaukee last weekend and got caught in the rain that was coming through. It was just a downpour. And when I got back, my shoulders were sore.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that I was that tense.
Yeah.
But you're totally focused and tensed up a little bit.
Yeah, it was. The girls were the smart ones. They rent in a car behind us, but
the ladies usually are smarter anyway.
Yeah, they are. So you went to the Harley Homecoming. Mm-hmm. Did you go last year or no?
No, this was.
How long have you had your Harley?
I bought it August last year.
August of last year. Yeah. So you would have just Just missed it.
Yep. It was a pretty cool event.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Yep. We didn't spend a tremendous amount of time. We didn't go through the museum. We didn't go through the factory, but we did go to outside of the museum. They had food trucks and they had the shops there, and they had a bike show, and I think they had a band, and it was they organized that so well. In terms of getting people in and getting people out, and the things that they have for people to do and to look at. I think primarily we went for the concerts, which were awesome.
Yeah.
But it was quite an event. I don't know that we would go back again because we've been there.
Right.
But
maybe if it was somebody you hadn't seen in concert, you really wanted to see. Maybe then.
Well, maybe yes. Because I mean the venue for the concerts was right at Veterans Park. So it was right on the water, and they had several different stages set up. We did one of the things that I would recommend. Is we did pay a couple extra dollars for the General Admission Plus, and that allowed us our own little area. They had a food truck, I think, and they had their own little bar area, and they had their own private bathrooms.
Oh, nice!
And they were the nice trailer ones, and not
just a little blue.
People have been in already. So that alone was worth.
Yeah, that was worth the extra
dollars.
bucks.
Absolutely.
That's a good tip right there.
Yeah. But it was, like I said, they just do a fantastic job getting people in, getting people out.
Yeah, it's on my list of things I want to go to. I want to tour the museum and all that stuff too. We were going to go last year when we went on our trip to Poopy. So,
sure.
And by the time we got to where we had to go, it just was not feasible because we would have had like 2 hours to walk through, and I think you probably need more than
rushed,
that. Yeah. So I would like to go next year, but I know with the Sturgis trip in the works that's probably not going to happen.
It's almost the same weekend, isn't it?
Yeah. And we're leaving early for maybe, I don't know, I have to look at it, but
yeah, it would be absolutely worth going, but it's one of those things that you do, and I don't think that I would go every year. But like you said, if there was a band that I really wanted to see, perhaps we would consider that. It wasn't. We ended up getting a hotel not that far away from the venue, which was amazing.
Yeah.
It wasn't any more expensive there than any hotel or motel around Michigan or anywhere else during the summer.
Tourist town.
Yeah. So it was well worth it.
You better go eat, Bubba's. He's like, I'm the original podcast dog. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, now he's coming.
Second thoughts. Heard food.
Heard food. Oh, food? Oh, wait. Now I want to go out. So, you made the switch to Harley.
Yep. And it was 100% the wife's decision. Well, I shouldn't say it was the wife's decision. It was as soon as she got back on the back of the Harley, as opposed to the back seat of the Roadstar Warrior,
right?
The comfort level went way up, and I can't disagree. I mean, it's so comfortable, and for the intended purpose of just thumping along the back roads, it is just amazing.
Yeah, they're like I said. I mean, I had a Softail, and that bike was a nice bike. And it did everything that I needed it to do, and it was a pretty comfortable bike, but not as comfortable as the Ultra.
It is. I can't say enough how comfortable it is, and comfort for her. So when she says, "Let's take the bike to dinner,"
right?
Let's just go get some ice cream on the bike. There's anything like that. It's like okay. It doesn't matter how much it costs. It's worth it. It was quite a transition. And the bummer thing was that I've learned now is when I talk for Harley, I was an employee, so you got the employee discount. So I had shirts and hats.
I was going to say, you already had shirts and hats and all that stuff.
And then,
which is kind of nice.
When I quit teaching, I was like, I'm not going to ever wear that stuff again.
Oh, really?
So I gave it away and went to Goodwill and all the other things.
Oh, my.
And then I got this bike, and I'm like, oh, no.
Oh, no. Because I don't give any of that stuff away.
No.
I think my wife has actually been amazed. I think the last 3 times we've been to Hot Rod, I have not walked out of there with something.
Oh, it's
that's for me. That's of course now we have to go back down there because I actually won a prize package.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Well, see these two wonderful guitars here?
Yeah.
So she won that guitar from Hot Rod for the Rolling Laconia.
No kidding.
And then, like 6 months later, I won this one from Whole Shot.
No kidding.
Yeah, yeah, true
Well,
story.
you guys got some lucky.
So, and then I saw their post. They had I don't know, it's one of them little string backpacks and some swag and stuff in it, and they're like, "Congratulations to our winner, so and so, and Eric K." And I'm like,
No.
"What are
can't
the
be.
odds?" So I sent a message down there. I said, "Hey, is Eric K by chance me?" She goes, "Yeah, it's supposed to, automated thing's supposed to contact you, didn't?" I'm like, "No."
No.
She's
kidding.
like, "Well, stop in and get your stuff." I'm like, "Well, I would have liked to have done that when I was there last week for
Right.
bike time, but
Darn
yeah."
it.
So
Just have to make another
I
ride.
gotta
now.
make another trip, and she's been bugging me because she can't get out of Hot Rod without spending money. So
It's pretty difficult.
yeah. The only bad thing is Johnny. As soon as I walk in, you ready for a new bike? Johnny,
He's been there for a long time.
he has.
He was there when I was teaching. That was, I think, 2018 is when I quit teaching.
Yeah. A little bit of a changing of the guard down there with the general manager. I don't know if you were there when Josh was general manager, because he was something else before that.
No.
Josh Voss.
No. When I left, it was still Kyle. And then he's moved up, and I think
Yeah.
they done other things. So as far as the general managers, I hadn't even been in there since
Oh, really?
2018 until I bought the.
So now you have to restock your Harley stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been Harley hopping. You've been hitting all the Harleys everywhere you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Checking in on the app.
Yeah. See, and I couldn't sign into my app. I was getting pissed off. I was on technical support with them because
Really?
I put in all kinds of miles and couldn't log into my app.
Yeah, it is.
So-
It's a great sport. I love it. It is always been a lifelong passion. But as I get older, the therapeutic of effect that it has,
the therapy is, I mean,
so
amazing.
incredible. And unless you ride, I don't think you really understand it.
Right.
How just being out on the road and having a couple tunes going, and it just soothes the soul.
Wash everything right away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So, favorite ride? You've been around a little bit, I'm assuming.
Good Lord. I would have to say Tennessee. So far, we went down a few years ago with some friends, and even though we rode by the Tail of the Dragon, never did the Tail of the Dragon, which is I started looking at that probably back in 2004, 2005, and it was always, everybody's talking about it, got to go down there.
Right.
But the more research I did about it, it is a great road. No qualms with that. But it's the traffic and the random people that are going off the road. I didn't think it was worth the risk. And there's so many cool roads down there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I heard. There's no bad road down there.
No, and 2 years ago, I think it was, or maybe it was last year, I had the opportunity with Yamaha to go to the back of the Dragon.
And I looked at that, and I thought that looked like a nice ride.
Yes, it was. We actually set up right at the store there. I'm trying to think of the family's name that owns the store. But just super, super nice people and a great meeting spot. And the back of the Dragon is, I've heard, more technical than the actual Tail of the Dragon.
Yeah.
And yeah, what is it, the PCH or is that up there? Or the, not the Pacific Coast Highway.
I know it's Cherry Coast Highways on there. There's
Yes.
no commercial vehicles on it. And speed limit's 45. And
There's so many good places to ride up there. I mean, we rode for 2 days, and we never hit the same road twice. And I was just, the shocking thing for me was I didn't know what to do initially because the scenery is so beautiful. You want to,
Yeah.
my gosh, that's beautiful. And then you're like, here's a corner. Then you watch the corners. Oh my God, the corners are so cool. Oh my God, that's beautiful. So you're trying to figure out what you want to look at most.
That's kind of what I heard. Like the Dragon, you're like looking around, trying to look around, and you can't because there's
Focusing on the road, right?
Turn.
Yeah, it is. It's just beautiful down there, and there was did some riding out in Pennsylvania, and I'm trying to think of the dealership that we went to. But Pennsylvania's got some great roads too. Um, those were probably the two favorites.
Yeah.
Up in Pennsylvania, around the Poconos, and down in Tennessee.
Have you done like the triple nickel or anything in Ohio?
We
Or
just were talking about that last
Yeah.
weekend. Yes. Yep. Because we last year we went down with two couples, and the intention I think was to hit Ohio, but then we found out there were some good roads in Indiana as well.
there is.
Yeah, I guess so. We didn't find.
We've been
all
to Indiana a couple times now, and it's been straight and corn and straight and corn.
Oh my gosh! Yes, we rode through like 4 hours of corn, which was a huge joke because
Yeah.
we were, we heard that there was these great roads down there, and our leader was like, "Yeah, I know where we're going. I know exactly what we're doing." And after 4 hours of corn on both sides of the road, we were like, "Hey, where's the roads at?"
Yeah.
But yeah, southern Indiana, southern and west of Indianapolis, I guess there's some good ones. We found some good ones south. But last weekend, whoever we were talking to was talking specifically about the triple nickel. So that's next on the list probably.
Yeah. Yeah. The triple nickel, and then there's let's see, it's the Cloudy 9, maybe. I just saw that on. I'd never heard of that one.
421 or something like that.
I seen it on YouTube. Somebody was talking
The cool
about the
thing now
Cloudy 9.
is my wife has she's on a Facebook group or Facebook group of like great rides or something like that. So she's sending them to me. Hey, we should go here. We should go there.
Nice.
Okay, let's put that on the
I'm
list.
gonna have to get Trish in that group
which is
because she doesn't need any encouragement at all. She's like, let's go.
yeah, and it takes the weight off of me, so you can pick it out. That way, I don't have to make the plans and screw it up.
Right. Yeah, it was. So when I got my endorsement, I had a bike, but the ex didn't like to ride.
Oh,
So the bike sat a lot.
oh, sure.
Now with this bike, not only I didn't have a bike, she told me to go buy a bike, and then when I went to buy my bike, she bought a bike.
That's awesome.
So, and she had never ridden before either.
That is
So
awesome.
she got on a bike and fell in love, and now you can't get her off the darn thing half the time.
You can't beat that,
So-
and it's so fun to ride as a couple. My wife doesn't have any interest of riding her own bike, but just to do it as a couple,
Yeah.
is fantastic. And I even like today when I rode down by myself, it wasn't the same because I didn't have her on the back and feeding me snacks.
Right. Well, see, that's what I missed out on. So
Yeah.
last week, Thursday, we went to Barsky's for dinner. And she's like, well, let's ride over to Barsky's. I'm like, all right. So I get geared up and ready to go. And she's like, oh, I'm riding with you.
Ooh,
I'm like, well, that's never happened before.
here's a change.
So I have this brand new Saddleman seat that I bought when I bought the bike, and the back seat's never been sat on. So she actually rode over there with me. No snacks, though.
Oh man!
And then we
Missed
rode
out.
all the way up to Manistee after that.
Yeah, it is.
So-
It's a new concept for me as well. But we're riding along, and next thing I know, she'll pull the chapstick out and put some chapstick on.
Nice.
And a little mint or a snack will pop in my mouth, and
That's
it just
awesome. Yeah, I got to get her trained, I guess.
pull the water out and hand me the water, and it's
Yeah.
it's something else to have her back
Yeah,
there.
that's 2 hit, you're slacking. Oh, and I was going to ask you another question too. Dang it. It was right there on the tip of my tongue. So you haven't done the triple nickel, but it's on your list of
Yep.
things to do. Copper Harbor and all that you've done, I'm
Yep.
sure. 450 or H58 up in the UP.
I couldn't tell you.
It's the one between Grand Marais and Munising.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably have.
One of the troubles that I have is in my maturity, and maybe it's been always that way, is I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
Right, well,
And
yeah.
a lot of times I like to be the tail gunner as well.
Right.
So whoever I'm riding with, I like to let them lead. That way they can ride at their pace, and I can just enjoy the ride back
Right.
in the back. So I never pay attention to where we're going.
Yeah, a lot of times I'm the same
just
way.
follow.
I just, let's go.
We did do the Copper Harbor, and we did quite a bit of riding up there. Obviously, the tunnel of trees.
See, and I have not done that yet.
Um,
We've been pushing it for a color tour, and then it seemed like the weather's been crap.
yeah. You do definitely want to do that during the week.
See,
Um,
she doesn't know it yet, and if she doesn't listen to my podcast, anyways. So we got this trip for our anniversary. We're going to go up and we're going to camp up in the UP
cool.
and ride the bikes and tent camp. So we're on the bikes the whole time. But on the way back, it's going to be our last day is going to be like Wednesday,
nice.
and we're going to ride the tunnel trees.
Perfect.
She doesn't know yet.
It is. It's a great road, and I can see why it is so popular. But we made the mistake of going on a weekend.
And I've heard that it's not.
First of all, the colors. We looked at the forecast. And the colors are going to peak about here. But when we got up there, the colors weren't even close to peaking. But everybody in the state of Michigan also heard that they were going to peak that weekend.
So everyone was riding it.
Everybody was riding it. There was campers, there was boats, there was cars. I mean, and
Yeah.
everybody's going 25 miles an hour. So it was, I think we probably made it a half or 3/4 of the way through, and we ended up peeling off a side road just because it was just not enjoyable to ride that slow.
Right.
And with all the traffic coming and going. And
I have heard if you're going to do it midweek.
yep, I would definitely recommend that because it is a cool road. And it's very enjoyable. Actually, all of that up there, not just the tunnel, but
22.
yes,
and,
22
yeah.
all the way up. It's there's just some great riding around Michigan.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. And we run M22 a couple times. We'll probably be on it this Saturday for the Lost Boys ride. I'm sure they're going to run up M22.
We may do that as well. Maybe we'll see her along the way.
Maybe. Yeah, we're doing that little charity run for them Saturday. So
We're going next weekend.
Oh,
So this weekend is obviously the Coast Guard Festival in Grand
right.
Haven.
Yep.
So this the weekend after that is when we're heading up to Traverse. We'll probably hit 22.
Ride 22 and
Cruise
then
up
on
and-
through all that. Yeah, that is nice riding up there. I like that. I like the part around Crystal Lake up there.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, it's nice.
By Empire and
Yep.
all those.
Yep, I know we'll be up there this weekend, so
Sounds like the weather's going to be good.
it does. And today's actually looks like the weather's holding out for us.
I've got my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Well, I know if I brought the rain gear, my chances of getting caught in the rain were less than if I didn't bring the rain gear. It was 100% certainty that I would get caught in the rain.
Exactly, and that never fails. It seems like the Mackinac Rally.
Yeah.
I got asked to be a guest judge up there for the bike show, so the weather Saturday was pretty sketch, but I had to go, so I geared up, put the rain gear on. Not a drop. Not a drop.
Uh-huh.
All the way up there. We get up there, take the gear off. It starts raining. Yeah. Well, we were there. So we get back. I'm like, well, we had lunch, got back on the bikes to head home, and it was like, I'm going to put it on just in case. So I put it on. We rode for like an hour or so to the first fuel stop, and I was like, it ain't going to rain. I'm taking it off. And it stayed dry through us. So lucky. All right.
How long ago was it that you took the class?
Oh, my
Well,
God.
gosh, it had to be before 18, obviously. But it was
Yeah.
not that long. Was it 15 or 16?
Oh, no, it was. I could go get my blue card. I still have
It's
it.
incredible to think, for the 15 years, the number of people that I met in the class.
Oh, yeah.
And it was always nice to hear about people that continued on and, it really became a passion for them as well. I mean, that was rewarding for them.
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah, I've thought about seeing what it takes to be an instructor because I kind of do that at work because I'm the trainer at Mass Transit, so I do a lot of the road stuff for CDL.
Sure. Well, I would strongly encourage it, and anybody that's listening that has the experience, there's definitely a shortage of coaches, and it is very rewarding. It is. It's a great practice as an individual, and you get to. Most of the people I know get to write off stuff. It's a business for you, and it's an income, and they pay pretty well. I mean, you give up a few weekends. You don't have to do it, every weekend all summer long. Obviously, the people that do it want to ride as well, but you can do it 3 or 4 weekends out of the summer, and still help people out.
Make a little money to pay for them Harley parts.
Yep, you got to have that. But it's really cool to see somebody come into the class that do I have time for a short story?
You have as much time as you want.
There was a time, probably 10 or 11, maybe 12 years into it, that I was thinking, maybe I'm just getting burned out on this. I noticed my patience level was dropping a little bit as we're going along. I told you 15 times not to grab the front brake. Why do you think you're laying on the ground right now? Well, I grabbed the front brake. Okay. But I was getting kind of burned out, and it was right at the very beginning of the year. And this gentleman must have been late 70s, early 80s. And, one of the things they do at Harley is, everybody introduces themselves. Why are you here? And I shouldn't say Harley, because I think most of the classes do that. And this guy started telling the story. He said, I've always wanted to ride a motorcycle my entire life. He said, growing up, my parents wouldn't let me have one. And I got, went to school, then I got married, then I had kids. And recently my wife passed away, and he said, it's just been a lifelong dream of mine. You can just hear the crackle in his voice. Crackle now.
Yeah.
It was just it was the thing that he's always wanted to do his entire life. And got him through the class. I mean, he wasn't great. I mean, he was a gentleman, but it was like you're giving that person something that they've always wanted. And I was like, okay, I was completely rejuvenated at that point. It's like, this is why you're doing it. I mean, and I suppose that's true for any educator or teacher. When you see somebody that you really touch and you really make a difference in that person's life, and it was really, really cool.
Yeah, yeah. It's like for me when I'm training them to be a driver, and they have that aha moment where it just all clicks. It's just like, that's freaking cool.
Yeah, that was really cool as well. You'd see somebody that's never ridden before on a Saturday, and they really struggle on Saturday because that's the toughest day.
Yeah.
And we would always tell everybody, when you get home, you do nothing. You grab a bite to eat. You sit down in the lazy boy. When you wake up at 9 o'clock, because you fell asleep because you were so tired in the lazy boy, just go to bed.
Yeah, don't go home and get on your bike and practice.
Right, absolutely not. If you own a motorcycle, don't even sit on it. Don't touch it. Don't even look at it. And for the ones that really struggled on Saturday, and then they go home, and the mental aspect of motorcycling is something I don't think a lot of people consider.
Right.
But mentally, you're just burned out. But when you get home and you relax, and all of that stuff starts kind of melding into your brain, and then they come back on Sunday nervous, but all of a sudden it all clicks.
Yeah.
And the clutch and the brake, and this is great. And then by the second or third exercise of Sunday, they're smiling ear to ear,
they're having fun.
A great time.
Yep.
And it's like, that's
what it's about right there. Awesome. That's a great story. Yeah. I'll talk to you about some other stuff off. We don't need to chit chat. I got a few other questions I'm going to ask Scott off there. So I want to thank him again for coming in.
Thank you.
I've been bugging him for a little while to come sit down and shoot the shit with us.
Thank you very much. Glad we finally got the opportunity.
Yep. It's been good. Maybe we'll get you back on here again real quick. So when you're doing the lead, what do you ride?
Anything that's available.
Anything available?
Yep. So what they do is they've got usually 14 bikes on the line.
Right.
And then people sign up for whatever bike they want to ride. And then we get whatever's left over.
So do you have a favorite?
I do. It would probably be the MT-09 SP.
Yeah.
It's just a great bike. I mean, the power of those things, it sounds fantastic. The quick shifters, the R1 is an amazing bike as well. Or not the R1, because we don't have those on the lines, but the MT-10 is so powerful. I mean, if it wasn't for the electronics on those bikes, I don't know who could ride them. I mean, they're just so much power. So much. It's incredible. But yeah, probably the MT-09 SP.
Cool. I had to ask. Have you done any demo days for Harley? You ridden any of those?
Not any recently.
Nothing recently.
No.
Like just back when you were.
Yep. Because what the other companies do is they use local instructors for their demos.
Oh.
Yamaha, I think, is the only one that actually contracts riders in,
Nice.
which is,
Way
the nice
cool.
thing about that is everybody's a team. So I know who the lead guy is. We ride together. We communicate. We've got comms. So thankfully, knock on some wood, there's never been an incident that I've been a part of or been a witness to. But I'm also very careful and cautious. I mean,
Right.
it's incredible how many times you get people out there that overestimate their riding ability, and then they hop on the MT10 or the MT09 and start whipping the throttle up. And if you don't shut that down, like right now, it's I'm not sure if this is proper technology or speech, but monkey see, monkey do.
Appreciate
where-
everybody doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you've got the guy that's his first year riding, and he's aggressively weaving in the lane. Or I saw one time the the T7, the Penray 700s are relatively new, and everybody wants to stand up on those because it's a dual purpose. And this guy was just standing up for like a mile or so, and the girl behind him on a Bolt, a
Right.
cruiser, stands up on hers. Like what? The monkey
Why?
see, monkey do. Yes. Why would you ever
Why?
stand up on a cruiser like
Yeah.
that?
I mean, I can stand up on my Harley too, but I
But why
don't.
would you? So yeah, if somebody does something, somebody else is going to do it as well. So
Yeah.
if you don't shut it down early, you're going to have problems.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Thanks, sir.
All right, everybody. That's all I got. Thanks again for coming in, Scott.
Thank you.
And life is short, bikers, so get after it. Thanks for listening to the Mid-Michigan Biker Podcast. Have a good one, bikers. And remember, life is short, so get after it.